Hi, it's Dwyer. Dwyercrime.blog, a free site. Gamblersadvisory.com, a free site. Today is Saturday, January 7th, 2023. Let's ask the question. In fact, let me couch this differently for legal reasons. I'm going to tell you in this video whether or not I think A.J. Armstrong, who was 16 at the time his parents were shot to death in their bedroom, right? There were only 4 people who we can confirm were in the house. Him, his 12-year-old sister, and his 2 parents, right? We're going to discuss whether or not I think he did the crime. But first, remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, let me give a preface here, and it's a very important preface. If your family is first generation, let's say above middle class, or even middle class, if it's your first generation out of the hood or the working class community, right? If you are from a community where you know people who are experiencing scarcity, where when you meet up with friends at school, right, even if they have moved to the suburbs, they understand the culture involves some scarcity, right? If you're in a situation where you meet extended family, right, aunties, cousins, uncles, grandparents, and many of them are from the hood, right, from the wrong side of the tracks, then just understand whatever is going on in your life, if you're a teenager, and here again, A.J. Armstrong is 16, you understand that there is a big possibility that you might end up back on the wrong side of the tracks. That wherever you live, Bel Air, Beverly Hills, Baldwin Hills, Oakland Hills, North Chicago, wherever you live, you understand that you're not that far from the hood, right? Public housing. You might know friends in public housing. You yourself might hang out with friends in public housing. Well, I need for people to understand that 16-year-old A.J. Armstrong, who I think, and it's America, I'm entitled to my opinion, killed his parents in cold blood. People need to understand what's at stake in this young man's life. Right? Let's go through it. 2 weeks before the murders, Josh is told by his parents that he's cut off financially. Right? This is a guy who's not very different from the cousin of the lead character in the current Prince of Bel Air. Right? This is the guy who was going to private school, was hanging with an affluent crowd. He was the big man on campus, at least one of them, at his private high school. He was on the football team. Now understand the importance of that. In this family, it's more important than most, because his father, of course, was a master of the universe. His father was a linebacker at Texas A&M. Johnny Manziel's school. Ryan Tannehill's school. Right? Understand, the father got drafted into the NFL. Couldn't quite stick around, right? The father, let's be real here, 6th-round pick, not a 1st-round pick. But understand who the father was. He's alpha. Right? You find guys like this in neighborhoods where the father was raised in the hood, but now has moved the family to an upper middle class neighborhood. Right? The father is the person at the family reunions who people look at as a success. The father, after not cutting it in the NFL, understand the mindset, who the dad is, tries out and ends up on the team in the Canadian Football League. This guy's not going to be stopped, where he plays for several years. The father comes back to Houston, only things are different. Now he has some money. And dad decides, you know what, this isn't enough. I need my own business. He opens up gyms. He's an entrepreneur. Like George Jefferson, he moves to the wealthier part of town. He moves on up. Right? So dad is the center of the universe. Dad earned his stripes through football. That's what got dad to the next level. So you're 16. A lot of people don't understand the urgency. You're a young black male in a big city where you know a lot of older black men haven't done so well. You're a young black male, and you understand at 16, now is the time to impress the scouts. You're on the football team. You're a high school star. You need to get to college. This is your way. So the parents, of course, got tired of young AJ failing at school. Got tired of paying for AJ's private school when AJ wasn't making the effort academically. So dad and mom's the disciplinarian of the two, according to reports, right? Mom's the person who had the more tumultuous relationship with the kids. They decide that they're going to pull AJ from the private school and put him in a public school. Now let me let you in on a secret. In Houston, one of the biggest cities in the United States, high school football is very competitive. Folks, you're in Texas. You're in the biggest city in Texas. AJ might have felt, hey, before I was a big fish in a small pond that was much better capitalized than this public school my parents have sent me to. Before I had a real opportunity of being the star, getting the scholarship, continuing my life. And now I'm in a public school where coach doesn't know who I am. I'm a transfer. I'm competing with perhaps better athletes. I'm getting lost in the mix. I'm 16. I'm going to be out of high school when I'm 18. How could mom and dad do this to me? Right? It's deeper than that. AJ, of course, was rolling in a Mustang. right? He has the hot girlfriend. He's a teenager living the teenage life, right? Mom and dad say not so fast. Son, you were born on third base here. You have no idea what it's like being from where we're from. You have to earn this, and you're not doing so. The grades suck. You're smoking weed. Some people believe you're dealing weed. Now think about that possibility. Black guy from money, and yet he's dealing weed? Well, understand, the parents said, hey, your older brother Josh, we want you to swap vehicles with him. In other words, the flush Mustang that you're in with your girl, and you're getting props the minute that car comes within a half-a-mile radius of school, you have to give that to your brother and drive his truck. Right? Think about how devastating that is. Well, just to understand further, his girl continues to hang out. She continues to hit parties. AJ is grounded. Folks, this is a catastrophe for a 16-year-old. Now let's talk about the family for a moment. Not his immediate family, but his extended family. Right? Understand, the extended family is rooting for them. When I say them, I'm talking about his parents. I'm talking about he and his sister. They're rooting for them because they're the people who made it. They're the ones keeping the dream alive. Right? They're the ones showing everyone else that it's possible to move out of the hood and thrive. The family wants to see him do well. Not only that, and I say this coming from the black community, where I'm raised, right, where my base is, right? Just understand that people in situations know of relatives who have served time in jail, know of friends, perhaps people at church, perhaps people in the community who have served time in prison. They understand that there is a crisis right now with the number of young black men who are in prison, and they understand that prison can make a problem personality even that much more of a problem. So understand, the family has rallied around A.J. Armstrong, even though A.J., in my opinion, killed his parents. We'll talk about it. Right? So the family's saying it couldn't be A.J. He's such a nice guy. On ABC, on the 2020 episode, it's the current episode, and it's an impressive episode. You hear AJ talking, oh, he sounds together. Oh, he sounds articulate. They interview his sister, and, they ask the sister, gee, do you think there's a possibility that your brother could have killed your parents? And the sister says, no, I know him. He's polished. Right? Basically, my word, not her word. Right? Well, just to understand, and I'm in my 50s, right? You see the gray hair here. Right? I'm just telling you, talk to people who have gray beards, the older people in the family. They've lived long enough to know that someone could be socially adept, can come across as caring, can master the social role of being the son in a black family that lives in an upper middle class neighborhood. Right? And the person could still be a psycho. Just imagine O.J. Simpson. Right? I can tell you, I had one athlete on my bedroom wall when I was growing up. It was O.J. I couldn't imagine a more empathetic, socially adept, smooth celebrity. right? I can tell you, I was in a restaurant once and O.J. Simpson was there. This is before cell phones. And I watched O.J. and he was signing autographs for little kids who kept coming up to his table. Right? O.J. was one of the most popular people at one point. We forget how popular he was. But yet later, O.J. was found to be civilly liable for killing 2 people. Right? We found out during the trial that O.J. may have slapped around his first wife before almost beheading his second wife. Well, just understand, A.J. Armstrong comes across as convincing. Right? You hear his family and you think to yourself, oh, wow, this guy is a Bill Cosby type guy. By the way, another celebrity who, in my opinion, has major problems. Right? You look at AJ and you think, wow, this guy looks well adjusted. Folks, he's not. Right? For me, at least, in terms of determining guilt or innocence, this is clear cut. Right? This is a guy who had a lot of dysfunction. And I mean a lot of dysfunction. Right? We'll get into the dysfunction. But what I want people to realize is that the evidence is clear here. I don't believe there's any wiggle room. AJ has one of the better attorneys I've seen, a guy named Rick DeToto. He's excellent, but he's off point. He's looking for a theory to exonerate his client. He doesn't have the facts. So let's talk about this case. Right, here's what you need to know. At about 1:40 in the morning, AJ calls the police. He says, hey, I've heard gunshots. Words to the effect of, I've heard what could be gunshots coming from my parents' room. I'm in the house. They say, what's your name? He says, AJ. Now that's at 1:40. Right? We have the phone records at 1:46. The police arrive. Right? So AJ has a bit of a Darley-Rotier problem. I encourage people to look at that video where the timeline does not match up. Now understand, when the cops show up, they can't get in the house because the alarm is set. So AJ at 1:46 a.m., this is early in the morning, has to disengage the house alarm. So the cops enter the house. On the first floor, they see a gun on the counter in the kitchen with a note, right? The note says something like, I've been watching you. Right? The drawers are pulled out. It looks like this is some kind of burglary. That the person who got into the house wanted to rob the house. Right? Now this is on the first floor. Right? They then go upstairs to the bedroom, to the parents' bedroom. And of course they notice at the top of the staircase, which is the staircase the parents would have had to use to get out of the house, they notice there's a black stain on the carpet. So then, of course, when they go into the parents' bedroom, it's horrible. It's awful. Both parents have been shot in the head, murdered execution style. The killer puts a pillow over their heads. right? So AJ, the hero of